Hi, friends. Welcome back to Genuinely Curious. I'm your host, Shantiana Keys, and it has been a couple of weeks since I talked to you last. All right. I've been at WNBA All-Star, which we will talk about in depth after we hit some trending topics, and a lot else has been going on in the world. Okay. But I've been good. If you're wondering, I hope you're doing well as well. I promise you we will be getting a intro song at some point. I have been trying for 2.5 months to make that happen. And at this rate, y'all are about to get me singing on a track, which is something you don't want. You do not want that. I feel like I can hold a tune, a couple of tunes, and then it goes out of key and then it comes back. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's like medium singers, people like to say. I'm like low medium singer. You know what I'm saying? You probably don't know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. But, you'll see how desperate we get here in the next couple of weeks. If we just can't get someone to make a good intro for us, we are just going to move on and we're going to just do the homemade thing. We're going to do like the Carmichael show and I'm just going to sing. It'll be all the cast members, i.e. me, singing on the track. And their voices are much better than mine. All right, moving on. Let's go to trending topics from this week. Starting off, listen, y'all know I was obsessed with Love Island. Okay. This was my first season. I thoroughly enjoyed. And I think y'all know that based on the last couple of episodes. And the Islanders, we got our winners, right? Amaya and Brian, they ended up winning, which okay, fine. Nicolandria was second, was like, okay, of course. That or they needed to win. That's fine. We'll take second because they kind of just got together. All good. Iris and Pepe, whatever. They were cute. Don't know if it'll last, but they're similar. But that other girl, Huda, y'all know how I felt about her. From jump, I'm a vibes person, and I knew a long time ago. Okay? Now, I say that to say, even though her behaviors were insane, okay, there's been so much more happening, since they left the villa. I haven't, and I don't know if this is my algorithm or not, but I haven't seen much of her since they left the villa. All I know is what people are saying. She went on Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper, which I'm also not a huge fan of that platform. I admire what she's built and what she's done, but not sure she uses it in the best light or best way. And it just might not be, I don't think I'm the target demo for that. Now, so Huda went on there and Amaya went on there. Now, y'all know I had thoughts about Amaya too. That time she snapped at Shelly, that was crazy to me. And I hated how America kind of pushed away her immaturity in those moments. And then, of course, she became America's sweetheart. And I think people ran with that. But some things are starting to come out, some racist ideology, which is unfortunate and all too common. It feels like that Dominicans have these ideas of black people because Amaya and I didn't watch season 6, but Kenny Rodriguez, who was apparently in a relationship with Janae, which again, these are all people I, one, obviously don't know, but two, I didn't watch their season. So it's hard for me to fully get involved in that. But it just seems like Love Island needs to do a better job of vetting people. Because at this rate, everybody on the show is racist. Okay? And of course, we know what happened with Sierra. Okay? And she got home. She had her apology. And then, in typical fashion, she decided to have some digs at Nick at the show. It just, I don't know. It was not a cute look. I did not enjoy that. But I feel like we would need a full podcast to talk about that because there's so many intricacies in terms of, did Nick owe her a conversation? Should he have reached out to her? All those things. I don't think it makes him less of a man to have not done that. I think he moved on from that situation and just was kind of over it. But you did sleep with somebody multiple times and you had this very public relationship. Maybe you could have just called her or texted her. I don't know. But not my place to judge on that one in particular. But more importantly, Nicolandria being superstars. I think they thought they knew how popular they were. They had no idea. And thankfully, they kind of stepped away. Nick, he was on live all the time. And it was so cute to see them on live, right? All cuddled up. Of course, there were edits, there were crumbs from everybody on social media, but I thought, they did a good job kind of transitioning, keeping their relationship private in some ways, but still maintaining their public persona, which is helping them because they are making a lot of money right now. And get your bag, okay? But I think their lives have significantly changed, and they will not be able to move around the world the way that they want to, at least for the foreseeable future. But we are 10 toes down behind Nicolandria, and fully appreciate that when she walked into that villa, I was like, oh yeah. The knotless boho braids, I'm behind both of the baddies with them, Shelly and Olandria. So, but I do think Love Island has made me kind of spoiled. And I don't know if that's true because y'all know I'm Bachelor Nation. I have been Bachelor Nation for almost a decade now. Okay. I've seen pretty much every iteration of the show in the last 10 years, if not more, because I've gone back and watched some other seasons, not in real time. But Bachelor in Paradise is rough right now. Okay. And again, I don't know if it's because I'm coming off of a Love Island kind of intense day after day internet discourse situation, but Bachelor in Paradise has been slow, baby. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, genuinely just so slow. The Goldens are the most entertaining part of the show right now. And that's concerning. And I love the Goldens. Y'all know I've made plenty of videos about the Goldens. I pushed for a Goldens Bachelor in Paradise, but I didn't vote for them to come and be the entertainment on the regular Bachelor in Paradise. Not even that there's no drama, there's no connections, everybody knows each other already. Everybody's hung out, and it's more than the stagecoach elements we used to get 7 years ago. It's people have seen each other at all kinds of events because they live in the same places. They try to be friends. Before this, they kind of act like, oh, we've only connected a couple of times. Be for real. Be for real. Based on how Bachelor Nation has always been, where everybody wants to date everybody, it has become so much more intense in that way because now everybody moves to LA. Everybody's an influencer, so they're going to the same events. And it's not helping the show, okay? The new setting, fine and cute, I guess. I really did enjoy when they used to rough it out there in Mexico. But, Fiji, is it Fiji? Are they in Fiji? I think I might have made that up. I don't know where they are. But wherever they are, it's this big resort. And it seems like there's no one else there. But hotel rooms, air conditioning, and again, I don't want people to suffer. But there was just a grit to it, right? Everybody's suffering. People go probably a little more crazy there, in the heat. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about the show not clicking for me this season. And I hate that because y'all know. One, we waited multiple years to get a Bachelor in Paradise. They skipped last year. So for us to come back and have this, can you imagine a Demi in this environment? Does she stir the pot as much as we needed her to? I don't know. It just seems so manicured right now. And the challenges are weird. And I don't even remember challenges like this before. And I'm going to have to go back and look. They're just trying too hard, it seems, to be a Love Island. And they don't need to be. But I like how the cinematography looks. But short of that, I'm not a big fan right now. And I hate that for me. I haven't even wanted to do the recaps, y'all. That's how bad it is. I'll go to bed. I'm like, today drained me. This is so bad. So it's unfortunate. But in other news, E! News got canceled after 32 years of being on air. And if you're a millennial, I feel like you know what E! News is. And it's just something that was kind of a staple if you watch E! Network. Right? Not that everybody watched it, but it was that's where you got the drama, the US Weekly, the US Weekly, the Us Weekly kind of information, the People magazine information. That was where you got that and got the tea for the day or tea for the week. So or at least the stuff that was happening on their network. And so it seems strange. And most hosts, which I'm an aspiring host, had aspirations of being on that show. Because if you are a pop culture person, pop culture junkie, the way that I have or I am and always have been, that is one of the like hallmark places that you would go, oh, I would want to work there in the future. And so it's very weird that it'll be gone. Now in this digital age, I mean, everybody's online making pop culture content. I'm making pop culture content. Like, you can find it anywhere. As long as you can get on social media, you have access to that information. Now it does become, how legitimate is information out there? Like, there's been a rumor that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce might be engaged, and like a reputable place like E! News will at least try to reach out and get information, and then maybe not report on it. But like on the internet, like people are just gonna say it, and I get very particular about that sort of thing, and whether or not I'm gonna report on things that are not fact yet. I prefer not to. It's like adding to the chaos, and I would like to be reputable and credible in the future. So I wouldn't want to just like throw out something that I don't know to be true. And of course, I only know it to be true once it's printed in some of the bigger publications, but it just seems like we're losing real news sources in general about the state of the world, right? And again, you can argue media has always been manufactured, and the information that you get is up to the gatekeepers of that medium. But there at least used to be a standard, the NBCs, the CNNs, right? And it depends on where you got your information, but all those things are kind of being taken away. And the credibility of those things are being taken away with all the money that is there. I mean, you even have a show like Stephen Colbert that's going to end after a decade. And likely that is due to pressure from the president of the United States, who clearly has nothing better to do, wanting Stephen Colbert off the air, and Paramount being willing to do that and then claim financial reasons, even though it is a highly rated television show, winning Emmys still. Make that make sense. You know what I'm saying? But apparently it costs a lot of money to run, and they're saving $40 million and da-da-da-da-da. I love Stephen Colbert. I imagine he's not going to go home and just lay on the couch. Like, he needs to have a podcast. He needs to have a show. Netflix, do like you did David Letterman. Give the man a show. I mean, Conan has a podcast. Like, everybody has a podcast. I have a podcast. You're listening to the podcast. And so get him a podcast. Get him a mic. The man deserves a mic. He's hilarious. He's insightful. He's empathetic. Stephen Colbert has one of the coolest, or I don't think cool is the right way. Profound stories. Like, lost his family members at a young age. Is a man of faith. Is a man of entertainment. A man of reading and books. Things like that. Like, good guy who prevailed and was persevering through life, because he literally, like, the things that happened in his life or his family members passed, like, it really could have swallowed him whole. And so I love Stephen Colbert, and it's unfortunate that we won't get to see him on network television, at least as of September 2026, as far as I know. All right, moving on to the thing that I think is most noteworthy about my last couple of weeks. I went to All-Star Weekend. This was my first one ever. Okay, which is hard to believe at this big age that this was my first one. I've loved the WNBA for a long time, and so strange for this to be the first one, but it might have been the best one ever based on what other people who have been for years have said. I think biggest in terms of dollars, biggest in terms of experience. And a lot of that was due to the stud buds, if we're being honest. Now, I have mixed feelings about stud buds right now, just simply because they were All-Star Weekend. Point blank, period. The eyes on WNBA where, well, for fans, right? Like, that fan experience, being up close and personal, in the room, at the parties, in the interactions, at the All-Star game, the skills challenge, like, having behind the scenes access because of the stud buds, huge. But I also think having come back and then talked about wanting to be in the same room with Dave Portnoy, who has been on record calling Angel Reese a piece of fill in the blank online when she was in college, is insane. What could you possibly have to talk to him about? What could he provide for your show? It's that simple. And if it's like, oh yeah, we're going to bring the heat on this man, which is somewhat of the energy they've mentioned, but also that they said that they are open to talking to anybody. And like that in and of itself is a problem simply because they're platforming someone who clearly is racist just based on his behavior previously. All right. Who he voted for, who he endorsed, all those things lead up to him not needing to be there. And yes, it's their platform. Just like if I wanted to bring somebody on this platform, that is my prerogative and my right to do so. But that doesn't mean that the audience can't be like, girl, side eye, what's that about? And if it's a matter of they don't know enough information about the man, well then when fans raise concerns, then you look at those. But that doesn't seem to be the posture that they're bringing to the situation. And that's unfortunate because I really did enjoy the brand that they were building. And it's like the day, literally, it felt like the day they got back, they ruined it. They blew it up. And yes, there are going to be fans that stick around. Just like there's an audience for anything and everybody. We just saw somebody go on the Breakfast Club who built his millions and millions of fans off of being racist on Twitch. And then when asked by black journalists or black personalities, yeah, what was that about? He changed his tune. Oh, I was young. It was crazy. I was young. We got to start holding people more accountable for the racist things that they have to say online in public that we know about. And I've been pretty strong about my feelings about Dave Portnoy, just even like from the Barstool aspect. Like, he's a weirdo. He tweeted about Sophie Cunningham when she got into it with JC Sheldon. Weirdo. Like, you only want to talk about WNBA or women's sports when you're being a freaking clout chaser and you want to bring hate into a game that is not built on that. And that's why people have such a hard time with there being outsiders in women's sports, especially the WNBA, a very gay, accepting black league. Not everybody's welcome. And I think we got to start saying that. I think there has to be a time and place where you go, not every fan is a good fan. Not all money is good money. Like, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And if people are going to allow the Sophie Cunninghams and the Dave Portnoys and by association, the Caitlin Clarks of the world, like, to allow our game to go this way, it will be unfortunate. And I don't care how much money the Caitlin Clark effect brings in. If they allow it to be swallowed up, the phenomenon of Caitlin Clark to swallow up the essence of what the WNBA is, which again, this very liberal, activist, black and queer community, it will be quite an unfortunate thing. It would be the worst thing to happen to women's sport, I think. Because women's basketball, the WNBA, is the leader in women's sport. In this country in particular. You talk about equal pay, they're fighting for a CBA right now. They are at the forefront of that, right? We talk about when one of the most notable situations is the U.S. women's national team before they were headed to, I believe, the Olympics. Could be wrong. Could have been a World Cup year. On multiple instances have fought for their CBA and said that they would sit out of a major tournament, right? And you look at all of those different articles around that time, And you ask some of the leaders from those leagues who they spoke to, and it's always like, oh, the WNBA, because they have been here before. So I don't know. I think it's sad if we allow awful insiders in. I want all the fans we can get, all the dollars, all the money, all the sponsorships, but at some point you got to draw the line and say, look, this is just not how we get down. This is not what we do. So, but back to what I was actually talking about, the All-Star Weekend. I flew in on Thursday. I went in early because there was a media. You could like go look at the preview, the fan experience. So it's called W Live. I went in there, lots of great things. Coach bags, Playa Society, Google Pixel, like all these different sponsors, AT&T. And so that was really cool to go in before everybody else, because by the next day, it was slammed in there every single day. And I mean thousands and thousands of fans. So this idea that people don't care about women's sports, you should have been at W Live. But Thursday got in, sat around until I could get into the hotel room, went to W Live, and then we went to the Indiana Fever welcome party, which still don't know how I got an invitation. Somebody sent out a list of names. My name happened to be on it. Kayla and I, who I was staying with, we went to the party. And the party, literally everyone you can think of. Dejanay, Nalissa, the Stud Buds, Sydney Colson, Madi, who's been on the podcast, Amadi Brooks. She was there. I wonder if she was the one who got me on the list. She might have. And Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hall, like all of the Indiana Fever. I think Alyssa Thomas showed up. Like, it was crazy. Kayla McBride, like Cheryl Reeves, like it was crazy. Stephanie White. Everyone you can think of was at this party, and we had a great time. But the DJ Chalet, apparently is the Atlanta Dream DJ. Phenomenal. I'm talking Panic at the Disco. I'm talking Pluto. I'm talking Mario. I'm talking Lloyd. Mario and Lloyd apparently performed at the party. That was before we got there, but crazy. But it was such a good time all in all. Got back probably about 1 a.m. This is where like my bad sleep cycle started, so that was unfortunate. The next day, woke up, hit some activations. Actually, no, not activations. We went to media availability. So got to see the players, Team Nafisa, Team Collier, Team Clark. And as everybody knows, Caitlin Clark wasn't playing that weekend. So she wasn't available for interviews necessarily. But we got pretty much every other player. They had scrum and we could just kind of talk to them. And that was fun. I got some good questions about Tunnel Talk and just some questions about the previous party. And so that was good. That was fun. It was very different than when I went to the Final Four. We didn't scrum in that way. This was like scrum all in one room on a platform where you could kind of just move about. Whereas Final Four was like 3 players at a time, like with scrum and locker room availability. So something kind of different, but that was good. We got to observe the practice, and that was when Paige Beckers and Nafisa Collier played one-on-one, which was crazy. Like, how many times are you ever going to see that happen? Like, that was insane. And, you know, Paige got put in her place, and that's all good. She got a couple buckets, but, like, Nafisa Collier is the real deal. She's the MVP caliber player for a reason, right? She's in the MVP race this year. She was last year. She's a defensive player of the year. So, yeah, it was good to watch. It was fun to watch. And I thought it was a very cool thing to kind of witness firsthand. One of my videos got taken down on TikTok as unoriginal. Like, baby, what are you talking about? That was mine. I took that originally from my own hand and camera. But that's okay. That's fine. So we did that, did practice, did scrum for both teams. And then, which I'm like, these players got to be so tired. Like, I was tired. I went to one party. I had no autograph, obligations, event obligations, none of that, right? And I was exhausted. Then we had parties. This was the night where It got crazy. And shout out to Alexis, who worked her magic. Okay. I'm not somebody who goes up to a party and like acts like I'm supposed to be there. Right. So we go to a party, the first one. 2 of us are on the list. 3 of us are not. Okay. Somehow talk our way. All 5 people got in. Houseway. Now, I do think that was because there weren't a ton of people in there and they needed a little melanin in the joint, because when we went in there wasn't a lot. Okay. There were a lot of old people. Okay. Sorry, those 2 things didn't go together. A lot of old, not black people. Okay. And then, so we left that party. But like, there were some heavy hitters in that party. Okay. I'll just tell you. Megan Rapinoe was at that party, and I was acting chill. And Sue Bird is, again, acting very chill, which now I look back on it, I'm like, I was pretty chill pretty much the whole weekend. And there were a lot of people like of note. But left that party, went to the coach party, finessed in that party. And I have to give it up for the finesser of the group who made that happen. I've never seen anything like it, but got in there. That was the party that we kept seeing on StubBuds, seeing everywhere. It was all over the place. And saw a bunch of people when we got in there. And then we saw that there were bags. I wanted a coach bag. Give me a bag. Yeah. Even though I'm not even supposed to be here for real. Give me a bag. And that didn't happen. Okay. We ended the night kind of late and all the bags were gone. And that was unfortunate. So they gave me a basketball. So I'm manifesting right now that coach in the next year is going to send me a tabby bag. And y'all just have to reach out, but I'm just going to manifest that, put that in the air. I'll be working with coach. They're going to send me a bag. Okay. But yeah, left that party and then went to AZ Fudd's after party. And that, again, crazy situation, but that had everybody at it. At this point, it's got to be like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And she was launching her podcast, which I was kind of shocked she is excited to do because she's not very talkative, it seems, but she's going to have one, and beautiful. I'm sure Paige will be on it soon. But we stood in line so long to get drinks, but we were trying to get access to the VIP area, which we got in, but the party was like winding down. It was over at that point. So like AZ was walking out as we were walking in. But like all the same people that I mentioned before were in that VIP section. So yeah, we just needed to get there a little earlier, but that's okay. There's always next year, right? We're going to have to finesse our way into some places next year too. But hopefully next year we'll be invited to everything. We're manifesting that too. Because apparently nobody knows that I'm a women's sports WNBA creator, which I find hilarious because some of the best performing videos on my page are for the WNBA. So put the word out there. I am a WNBA fan and creator and would love to go to all the things that has WNBA involved. Okay? I'm glad we cleared that up. I thought it seemed obvious, if I'm being honest. Like when you look at my page, I'm like, yeah. Like I know somebody who doesn't even do WNBA coverage at all, who got sent a jersey from Fanatics. Fanatics, what's up with that? WNBA creator right here. I do Tunnel Talk. WNBA Tunnel Talk every week. And y'all didn't see that, I guess. That's okay. You could still reach out and send me one though. Okay. So that was Friday. Oh my God, I forgot the skills challenge. The skills challenge was prior to all those parties. And that was good. I thought I called Sabrina as a winner. After the first 2 shooters went, I was like, I don't think Sab could be denied. Especially after she got through to the finals. I'm like, that girl's not going to be denied. She's in rhythm. She's Hunter. Like, it's going to require a spectacular performance to beat her on this next one because she's just so locked in, such a competitor. So, and she's been on a tear ever since All-Star too. She was doing well before All-Star, but like, she's kind of turned it up a notch. And now they're without Stewie, so that becomes a hiccup. But like, they've acquired Emma Mieseman. Okay. So a lot of y'all can kiss that WNBA championship that you thought you were fighting for this year. Goodbye. especially if she looks like the Emma Meeseman of yesteryear. So we wait to see all of those pieces put together. But it's a great time to be in the WNBA, I think. I mean, I can remember how exciting it was to have a team here, come here in 2008 and the fanfare around that. And to now know that they're adding 3 more teams here in the next several years is crazy. It's growing fast. We want all the viewership possible, but again, come in peace. You know what I'm saying? So that was Friday. Saturday, there was no media availability because, well, the players did not want that. And I imagine I know why, because I saw them at 2 a.m. the night before. And so we didn't do media, but we tried to hit a couple of activations and then the game. Now, the game was horrible, terrible, rough. Okay, we did some media availability right before, like during warm-ups and stuff. And then the game itself was terrible. So I've decided that the best way for the WNBA to make the game competitive is to ensure that Skylar Diggins and Alyssa Thomas are on separate teams, because they're not going for that. They're not going to care about the break or how tired people are or what parties they went to. Okay? They're going to say, get your butt up and get up and down this floor. I truly believe that. Those two they're not going out like that. So this is my PSA for next year. Put them on separate teams and it's go time. Okay? Again, now the game, the lack of break, because so they all played on Saturday. And then some of them had games 2 days later on Tuesday. I guess that's 3 days later on Tuesday. All right. So terrible turnaround. The schedule was already very condensed because of added games and things like that. So not healthy, not good. And then Kayla Thornton went and literally tore her ACL, I think, that same week. And you just hate to see that, because again, you talk about workload. I mean, that's a conversation I think is happening in basketball in general, when you had Jason Tatum go out and Tyrese Halliburton, who we did see at the Friday Skills Challenge and the game there in Indianapolis. But conversations of workload and condensed schedules and all of that become a thing. So it'll be interesting to see in the future how the schedule is handled, but that is a part of the CBA conversation that's currently happening as well. The players are fighting for better schedules, especially if the WNBA is going to add games, which they obviously will because you're adding teams, but just in general. So my dream, and what I always thought was inevitable, is that women will be able to stay here and play basketball year round, right? Not more of a NBA model, bottom line, like not going overseas as often. So I hope that happens. I think that opens opportunity for other women's basketball players in other countries, but also, I mean, obviously adding teams helps in this country too, because there are a lot of elite players who just didn't get, like, you got first round draft picks who are sitting at home. Liz Kitley got cut from the Aces, right? She's going to be on somebody's team. She's going to be somebody's great player, hopefully. Obviously set back with injuries last year, but I imagine you can't deny a 6'4", 6'5" kid who was that successful. So we shall see. But the game, rough. We decided against parties that night. There just really wasn't anything that we could probably get into. But we did watch the Stud Buds on their live stream with Diplo, and them not know who Diplo was. That was hilarious. Literally, the chat was like, "Oh my God, what is this Diplo music? This Diplo music." And then they turned the camera, or Courtney went to the DJ, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, I think that is Diplo." I think that's Diplo. That is Diplo. So, shout out to my pop culture knowledge. That sports crossover, we love that. But yeah, all in all, great weekend. I got to see my sister at the game as well. The only downside of the whole weekend, I lost the microphone. My DJI microphone, gone, poof, at the arena. I'm still manifesting and believing that it's going to come back to me in the mail, because I put in a lost order. But yeah, that was the only negative thing that I felt like happened. I also didn't get fits off. I got to set my game up next year. I fear I was not prepared. So next year, we're coming hard. We're going to not be sponsored. A brand is going to send us. And it's going to be a great time. I'm putting that into the air. I'm putting that prayer out there. And I know it's going to happen. Okay? Because Genuinely Curious is also going to pop by then. Mercy. Can you believe we've been doing this over a year? Anyway. Okay. Well, had a great time. I will be talking about Beyonce, I think, on the next episode because I went to Cowboy Carter and baby, that in and of itself has to be a podcast. It has officially wrapped. It finished its last day in Vegas a couple of days ago. And so it's time. It's time that we discuss when she was here in Atlanta. Okay? Okay, guys. See you next episode. Bye.